ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदां सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. I'd like to welcome all of you all back to our Ram Katha discussions at Nasik Dham. I hope all of you all are having a good time and appreciating Nasik in different aspects of Nasik Dham. I don't know how many of you all have noticed the mountains of Taket, and they are very unique, look and feel, isn't it? And I can imagine the fight of Ram and Jatayu that would have happened, flying along those mountains. It would have been such a visual, almost like a, Hollywood movie scene type, very powerfully visual type. And interestingly, Valmiki Ramayana describes the mountains in that way only. So we will continue our discussions on Ram Katha now. So we were going in a particular order. Somewhere in between, we digressed, we went to Taket and we saw Jatayu's pastimes there. But we're going back to the order in which we began today morning. So in the morning, I spoke about the Dandakaranya forest and the significance of the word Danda, Dandakaranya, and the whole mood behind Dandakaranya. So now we're going to go into some details of what happens in the Dandakaranya forest and the mood of Sita, Ram and Lakshman while they are in the Dandakaranya forest. When they enter into the Dandakaranya forest, they experience a lot of ups and downs. And one of the first incidents that happens when they enter the Dandakaranya forest is something that really shakes them all up. Because this is an incident that they least expected. They heard about demons, they heard about these man-eating, rakshasas, but they never experienced it themselves. So when you hear a lot of things, till it happens to you, you don't understand. Everybody heard of Corona, but till it happened to them, only then they understood what it means, isn't it? Of course, for a lot of us, after it happened also, we didn't understand what happened, So some things have to be experienced to understand the full import of it. The first experience of Ram, Lakshman and Sita with a demon is a demon named Viradha. So one day Sita was plucking flowers to make a beautiful garland for Lord Ram. And while she was engaged, very absorbed in her, um, service, suddenly she was picked up from behind. This massive demon. The he was 3 times the size of the largest tree in that area. That was the size of this demon. So huge in size. And he was he was wearing a elephant skin as his to cover his lower part. Imagine, elephant skin, how big his skin will be. Such a massive skin. It was his dhoti. So you can imagine what a big person he would be, isn't it? And he wore several tiger skins, tied together on his upper part of his body. And to hold the cloth of the upper part and the lower part together, in between, he wore a belt. And the belt that he wore was a python skin, a huge python. He skinned it out, and that python skin became the belt that he was wearing. And his belly was so huge that snake belt that he was wearing was practically almost, breaking open. That was the size of Viradha. And his wrist and anklets were made up of the highest quality of Kalanjala conches tied together. And around his neck, he wore a variety of garlands. And one of the garlands was made up of gems that were extracted from the heads of the deadliest of snakes. That kind of a garland of gems he was wearing. And and then he also had another garland, which was even more deadlier. The other garland was made up of a serpent thread, but on it was threaded dead horses, elephants, lions, and other human warriors. These are all he was wearing as a garland. You can imagine what a ghastly guy he was. And when Viradha picked up Sita, he was in the hands of Viradha. You can imagine the fear that Sita was experiencing. And when Sita screamed, Ram and Lakshman could see her being held in the hand of Viradha. So Ram, he looked at Lakshman and he had tears in his eyes, literally. And he said, when Rajya Lakshmi was taken away from my life, I did not even think twice. But from when my wife, my Bhagya Lakshmi, is taken away, I cannot bear this pain. He's telling Lakshman like this. And when Lakshman saw tears in Ram's eyes, he was so angry. He said, when I was in Ayodhya and you were exiled, I was really angry, but I had to swallow all that anger up because I couldn't take out my anger at that point. But now I'll take out all that anger on this fellow. Lakshman says like that. And he says, just like Indra destroys mountains with his thunderbolt, he said, I'm going to destroy this fellow. And Ram and Lakshman began to shoot at Viradha. Ram shot 7 arrows at Viradha. And when those arrows hit the body of Viradha, he just shrugged his body and all the arrows fell off. Literally nothing happened to Viradha with 7 arrows of Lord Ram. And when the arrows came out, he kept Sita down and he began to speak with Lord Ram. What Viradha speaks with Lord Ram is very interesting. Viradha, now what has Viradha done? He has picked up Rama's wife, correct? So who has done bad? Viradha has done bad. But this guy, he starts abusing Ram. He tells Ram, you are a trickster. He tells Ram. He says, whom are you trying to fool? Your dress and hairstyle indicates that you are a very peaceful person. But your bows and swords indicate that you are a very violent person. Are you peaceful? Are you violent? Are you a saint or are you a warrior? He's asking him. Saintly people roaming around with weapons and accompanied by a woman. So he says, this, according to me, is the lowest human standard. And he says, I hate hypocrites. And he says, I eat up such saints who are hypocrites. And he says, I am, I am getting this world rid of such hypocrites. Now, here is a guy who is royally killing people and is claiming that he is doing saf safai. He's claiming that he is doing good for the world by killing hypocrites. And he himself is a hypocrite that he doesn't bother. He himself has picked up Ram's wife, that he is not bothering. That he is not talking about. He is only talking about Ram's attire. And he says, I have Lord Brahma's boon. And by the benediction of Lord Brahma, I have the strength of 25,000 elephants. And I have immunity from all kinds of weapons. I can't die, literally. And he said, leave this lady to me and you get out from here. Then Viradha, he had a spear in his hand. He threw the spear at Ram and Lakshman. And Lord Ram, he shot arrows and destroyed that spear. Now, Ram and Lakshman realized that this guy cannot be handled by regular ways. They have to think of something unique to handle this fellow. So, Viradha is a very hypocritical type of person. He is the first demon that Ram, Lakshman and Sita encounter, and he's a very hypocritical type of a demon. So, the word Viradha comes from two letters, V and Radha. So, Viradha simply means the one without love. Radha, the word Radha refers to, of course, Radharani, but it also refers to the idea of love. And Viradha means the one who has no love. And anyone who does not have an understanding of deep human feelings is a Viradha. So Ram and Lakshman, they represent people that really understand each other's feelings very deeply, but they also understand other people's intentions very deeply. See, tell me one thing. The clothes you wear, does it really represent you? Not necessarily, right? So somebody could be wearing dhoti, kurta, and tilak, but may not necessarily be behaving like a Vaishnava, isn't it? Somebody can wear jeans pant and t-shirt, but can be a wonderful Vaishnava, isn't it? Now, how does it matter what a person wears? What really matters is how a person deals with others, isn't it? Viradha is looking at Ram and Lakshman's clothing and is deciding how they should behave. So they are wearing clothes of saints. They're living in a forest. They've been told that they have to wear, tree bark and deer skin by Kaikeyi. That's a part of her conditions. So they are not wearing because they are become sannyasis or they have become, renunciants. They are wearing it because they've been told that they have to wear it. But still, their role as a Kshatriya is not changing. So they're going to remain Kshatriyas only. So Viradha is only looking at it from an external point of view. You're wearing clothes of a saint, but you're carrying bows and arrows. So you're a bad person. And that is often the way we look at people and judge. We expect people who are dressed in a particular way to behave in a particular way. And we expect people who are dressed in another particular way, they'll be something else. But the fact is that in this world, you will always be surprised. The people that don't wear Vaishnava clothes at all sometimes behave more Vaishnava than people who wear Vaishnava clothes. Isn't it? I'm sure all of you all who have been hanging around ISKCON for so many years will understand this by now, isn't it? What you wear doesn't really define you. What defines you is who you are. And here, Viradha is that person who is confused about who a person is just based on looks. So Ram Lakshman, they started running towards Viradha. So ideally, when you find such a massive demon, you run away from him, right? Naturally, what you would want, I mean, if you come across Viradha, what you will do? You will not go towards him, you will run away from him. But Ram and Lakshman, they are not people who run away from problems. They face them head on. They go and face Viradha. Because even when you run away from the problem, you think Viradha is going to keep quiet, he will also chase you, right? That's what problems are. When you don't face your problems and you run away from them, the problem is going to chase you. So you have to stand and face it at some point. So Ram and Lakshman run towards Viradha and they know what Viradha is going to do. And as expected, what Viradha does, he picks up both of them in his hand. And that's exactly what they were expecting Viradha to do. At least his focus has gone off Sita. So right now, their immediate, thought was, we need to save Sita from the clutches of Viradha. So Sita is very close to him. He can pick her up at any moment. He has just kept her down for the time being to attack them. But if he picks her up and runs away, they would be in a bigger problem. So instead of that, they both began to run towards Viradha. And Viradha's attention moved from Sita towards the two of them. And he picked up both the brothers and he ran into the forest along with the two of them. And Sita was left alone over there. She was totally bewildered. And first of all, the attack was on her. She was shaken up. Now he has carried both of them and gone inside the forest. And she has no idea what is going to happen now. And she is alone over here. So Sita was, screaming and she didn't know what to do. And Ram and Lakshman, they allowed Viradha to take them away for some time. They didn't attack immediately. They waited till they are away from Sita for a certain duration of time. Why they waited? Because they know Sita very well. They know that if they attack Viradha in front of Sita, Sita will tell, don't do like this. She immediately will forget the point that he has attacked them. That she will not even think about. She will only think from a motherly point of view because she is Bhumi Sutta, she is the earth personified. And whether you are a demon or a good person, for Sita, you are still her child only, isn't it? And therefore, Rama and Lakshman allowed Viradha to carry them away for a certain duration. And when Viradha took them away for a certain duration of time, that time they removed their swords. And simultaneously, they cut off both the arms of Viradha. So Ram cut one hand and Lakshman cut the other hand. And simultaneously, both the hands were cut from Viradha's body. And along with Ram and Lakshman, the hands fell on the ground, lifeless. And blood started oozing out of Viradha's body in huge quantities. Viradha didn't expect this. He was shocked. And he began to run towards them to trample them. And both of them jumped up at the exact same time and cut off both the legs of Viradha. So now Viradha, he was bereft of hands, he was bereft of legs, and yet he had so much strength. Imagine, he had the strength of 25,000 elephants. If you've seen how strong one elephant is, I mean, it can pick up a Maruti car and toss it as if it's just tin, isn't it? That's how powerful elephants are. So he had the strength of 25,000 elephants. And he began to roll on the ground towards them. And as Viradha was rolling on the ground, hundreds of trees were being crushed in the forest. Hundreds of trees were being crushed. And, Ram and Lakshman were trying to save themselves. And finally, at some point, Ram jumped up and put his leg on the neck of Viradha and pinned him down to the ground. And when Ram's leg was put on the neck of Viradha, Viradha was held in one place. He stopped moving around. He stopped trying desperately. And Ram told Lakshman, dig a hole in the ground. Now, something transformational happened at this point in time. When Lord Ram's leg fell on Viradha's neck, he became a completely different person. He stopped struggling. And Viradha changed completely. There was no anger in him anymore. There was no envy in him anymore. And there was no cruelty in him anymore. And he became calm, closed his eyes, and he went into a yogic meditation pose. And from his mouth, from his lips, he was chanting the names of God. And he opened his eyes. And from his eyes, tears were pouring out, looking at Ram with love. Now, imagine what a transformation happened in Viradha. So, till a few minutes back, he was struggling. He wanted to kill them, right? He wanted to destroy them. And he was doing everything possible to show his anger, to show his envy, to show his, a desire for vengeance. And the moment Ram's leg fell on the neck of Viradha, he became a completely transformed person. All of us are in one sense like Viradha. We all are bereft of love. We all are bereft of Radha. We Radha. And because we are bereft of Radha, we have so many negative tendencies inside us. Isn't it? You close your eyes and think of one person that you hate the most. And immediately, so many, chemicals start getting released inside your body, All kinds of, chemical reactions start happening inside. And we go through so much of anger, so much of hatred, so much of disturbed minds, isn't it? So the Viradha struggle that we just saw in the Ramayana is representation of our own inner struggles. Each one of us have at least someone in our life with whom we go through these intense drama. Isn't it? And the most amazing thing is that if anybody else looks at your intense drama, they will only laugh. For them, your intensity is comedy. It's humor. And imagine what Krishna will be experiencing looking at your drama. If he just studies each of our lives, he doesn't need any comedy at all. He has enough entertainment looking at all of our petty envy and, cruelty and anger and jealousy and all of that, isn't it? Viradha is a summation of all of that. All those feelings that we have within our hearts. And how did Viradha experience peace? The moment Lord Ram's leg fell on his neck. And the moment Lord Ram's leg fell on Viradha's neck, he became completely still. And that's one of the reasons we wear tulsi around our neck. Tulsi is at the lotus feet of the Lord, right? And that's the tulsi we wear at our neck, which really is representative of what happened over here to Viradha. Now, we wear tulsi mala thinking that tulsi is offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, and we're wearing that which is offered to the lotus feet of the Lord around our neck. But here, the lotus feet of the Lord only went on his neck straight away. Not like indirectly, tulsi that is touching the lotus feet of the Lord. Straight away, the lotus feet of the Lord fell on his neck. So Viradha's Kantimala is something else only. Another level of Kantimala, isn't it? He had like lotus feet of the Lord on his neck straight away. And immediately he became peaceful. Immediately he became a very different person. And he started looking and he experienced Radha for the first time in his life. He experienced love for the first time in his life. And when Viradha experienced that kind of love for Lord Ram, he looked to the Lord and he said, "Oh my dear Lord, you have finally arrived. You must be Ram and this must be your brother Lakshman." Now look at this. After so much fighting, he's now introducing, he suddenly realizing, Arey, he to Ram hai. He's saying, many years back, I was promised freedom from this body, from this demonic body, the day you come into my life and bury me. And he says, the moment you bury me, I will get liberated from this body. Lord Ram immediately wanted to know, what is the secret behind your such a massive body? And Viradha told his previous life story. In his previous life, Viradha was a Gandharva named Tumburu. That's the name of the Gandharva. Tumburu, that is the name of the Gandharva. So he was super excellent in singing and he was extremely handsome. And he was the personal assistant to Kuvera, the treasurer of the gods. And because he was so, imagine, he was beautiful, handsome, he was super skilled, in singing, and at the same time he had a position which was really superlative. And the combination of all of that, it made him feel that he is invincible. So once Kuvera told him to do some service, some seva. And Kuvera, when he assigned the service, he was doing the seva. While he was doing the seva, he came across Rambha, this Apsara. And somehow, for some time, he got distracted because of Rambha. And he got late to perform his service. And Kuvera, he cursed Tumburu. He said, because you are distracted and neglectful of your duties towards God, and he said, because you lack discipline, I curse you that you get a life where you actually can do this only as your full-time job. Break rules, basically. So that's how Tumburu became Viradha. And, of course, Tumburu fell at Kuvera's feet and said, please forgive me for this. And Kuvera, he told Tumburu that this curse is temporary. And once you repent sufficiently, after you repent sufficiently, at that point, Lord Ram will come into your life. And when Lord Ram comes into your life, you will come back to your original Gandharva abode. And that's how Viradha got liberated. So people like Viradha are focusing on fun over responsibility. Now, Viradha was focusing on, he was a Gandharva before, he had some service, he had some responsibility, but instead of focusing on that responsibility, he focused on fun. He wanted to enjoy himself. And the transformation of Viradha happened in one moment. We do not hear stories of Viradha chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We do not hear stories of Viradha following Ekadasi Vrata all his life. We don't hear of Viradha going to all holy places and all of that. We don't hear any of those things happening in Viradha's life. He did not follow the regular path of sadhana bhakti. Viradha got liberated in one moment. One moment of full intensity. That's what it took to liberate Viradha. Katwang Maharaj in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear the same story. Right? Katwang Maharaj was a great king. At one point, he got a boon. So, he could ask for whatever he wants. So he simply asked one question. How long do I have to live? Can I know? And somehow that, whoever he asked, they told him, they did such fast calculation. And they told him, you have 1 moment left. You want to tell that it takes 1 moment, right? They told quickly, you have 1 moment left. And in that 1 moment, Katwang Maharaj completely absorbed himself in the Supreme Lord and he perfected his life. He completely perfected his life. And here we are struggling for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, some of us, Nowhere close to perfection. Which is better? Viradha's one moment or ours 35, 40 years of struggle, Of course, that one moment has to be a moment of full intensity. That's the problem. The problem with most of us is that we all go through these moments. It is not that the moment that Viradha went through, we don't experience it. We also, Haribol, you want to sit here? You have to be quiet. Okay? Otherwise, we'll sit you right at the back. Okay? So, Viradha, what was I saying? Yeah. Now, we all have in our own life experienced such one intense moments. You think about your own journeys, your own spiritual journeys. All of you will at least have one experience where you felt this is it. This is the path that I want to be in. Right? It could happen during a kirtan. It could happen during a katha. It could happen during a darshan. It could happen during an interaction with some devotee. It could happen while eating prasad also, While eating prasad, tears coming down from your eyes. Hey, boss, I don't want to go anywhere else. ISKCON is the path for me. We all have these intense moments, right? But most of us, of course, we potentially can have hundreds of such intense moments. But the problem with us is that we are not there in those moments. We are not present in those moments. Our minds are all over the place. Our minds are wandering all over, If you study the lives of great saints, the difference between their life and our life is that, what they went through, many of that is what we also went through. But the difference between us and saints is that they are present in those moments. And it is such an intense experience that they are literally there. I remember many, many years back, I had organized a book launch for His Holiness Radha Swami Maharaj in Ranchi and Patna. Two twin cities we had organized back to back. We're launching the Hindi Journey Home book. And while we were there, Maharaj said, this is the place where I met Ram Sevak Swami, Patna. So he said, let us go and, visit the ashram of Ram Sevak Swami. So three of us were there. Maharaj, Maharaj's servant and myself, just three of us. We went to that particular place where Ram Sevak Swami's ashram was there. Even today, there is that temple where Maharaj met Ram Sevak Swami. And we spent almost 2 hours outside that temple. And just the three of us, sitting on the banks of Ganga, Maharaj closed his eyes, sat there and started doing kirtan. And I tell you, we didn't have any kartal, we didn't have any mridang, we didn't have any musical instrument, no sound system, nothing, just three of us. He sat there, closed his eyes, rapt attention, doing kirtan for more than 1 hour. That particular kirtan was one of the most intense kirtans I ever attended in my life. And I can still visualize it, imagine. And, this is like Maharaj coming after 4 decades after that particular incident. And yet, while he was there, he was so intensely present. Now that's transformation, isn't it? We went to Taket, we visited, this place where Jatayu was liberated. Now, how many of us were present there with full intensity? How many of us were roaming around, looking here and there, going for this water, that water, How many of us were actually focusing on taking the right pictures, the right angle, Now, our minds are all over the place, isn't it? And how much are we intensely present, even if it is at 1 second that you have in front of the deities? How much intensity are we putting in those 1 second or few seconds that we get in front of the deities? And many times, the transformation that happens is not in terms of hours and days and years. The transformation that happens is always in moments. So if we are able to be present with full intensity, even for one moment, in a particular place, while having a particular darshan, while singing, or while hearing katha, in those few moments, transformation happens. It's only a matter of making a decision. It's only a matter of making our mind really strongly willed. Viradha's transformation happened in 1 second when in the association of Lord Ram. So Lakshman digs this massive pit. Ram pushes Viradha's body into the pit. They cover the whole pit with sand, and then from inside the pit, the soul of Viradha comes out, and he attains his Gandharva form once again and surrenders to Lord Ram. And then Viradha, at that point, he, before leaving back to his Gandharva abode as Tumburu, he offers Ram a advice, a suggestion, and then he leaves. He tells Lord Ram, 1.5 yojanas from here is the ashram of Sharabanga Rishi, and he is the right person who will guide you on how you should live in this wild forest. He said, go to him and you will be enlightened. And Viradha returns back. Now, interestingly, Ram didn't ask for this advice. Viradha offered it on his own. And the interesting thing is that every person that Lord Ram comes across, and this is Vedic culture, when you receive something from somebody, you should always think of what can I do back? What can I give back? Right? That's the whole idea of Guru Dakshina. That's the whole idea of reciprocation, gratitude, isn't it? So Viradha received the highest mercy that he could receive. And before he left, he was thinking, what can I do for Lord Ram? And he gave this little piece of advice, which became one of the transformational experiences of Lord Ram. He told him, go to Sharabanga Rishi. And Sharabanga Rishi was south, a little southwards from where they were in the Dandakaranya forest. And that time, Lord Ram returns back to where Sita was. And Sita was completely shaken up by this point in time. And of course, after Ram and Lakshman return and they explain to her whatever happened, then Sita becomes a little stable. So Viradha's aversion to following laws became converted into love by the touch of Lord Ram. And he became so grateful that he gave an advice to Ram and he went back. So following the advice of Viradha, Lord Ram starts walking towards Sharabanga Rishi's ashram. So it is explained when Lord Ram was walking towards the ashram of Sharabanga Rishi, it almost felt as if the moon was walking on earth. Ramachandra was walking on earth. And with Ram was Sita, the star of his life. So imagine the moon is walking on the earth and behind him the star is also walking, And behind the star walked the sun named Lakshman. Lakshman represent, like the sun. And one of the names of the sun, he is known as Karma Sakshi. Karma Sakshi means what? The sun is a witness of everything we do. All our karmas, right? Sun is a witness. So he is known as Karma Sakshi. And therefore, Lakshman is considered to be the sun because he is a Karma Sakshi in the Ramayana. He is the witness of all that happens in the Ramayana. So Sita and Ram are the moon and the star in the Ramayana. And Lakshman is the sun. He's just witnessing silently whatever the moon and the star are doing. And he is so happy assisting them. So they traveled together for about 20 miles. And they reached a very beautiful place. The moment they reached this very beautiful place, Ram became very alert. Because in this place, something very strange was happening. Lord Ram pointed out to Sita and Lakshman that outside the hermitage of Sharamanga Rishi was a golden chariot. And around the golden chariot, there were many well-dressed soldiers standing there. And it was a very contrasting scene because all around there was a forest. Beautiful, simple, scenic forest. And in the middle of the forest is a golden chariot. And with so many guards with weapons standing there. And the horses that were drawing the chariot, they were so effulgent. In fact, none of them stood on the ground. The horses also were not on the ground. The chariot itself was not on the ground. All the soldiers also were not on the ground. They were hovering 1 inch above the ground. And next to the horses, next to the chariot, close by, there was a huge white elephant tied to a tree. And when Lord Ram saw this entire scene, he told Sita and Lakshman, look at all those celestial beings. None of them are older than 25. They must be thousands of years old, but they look like 25 years old. And he said, if this is the ashram of Sharamanga Rishi, then surely before we met him, it looks like Indra has come there to meet him. So when Ram, so basically Ram told Lakshman and Sita, you wait here. Let me go and see what is happening. So Ram left Lakshman and Sita in the forest. They were a little hidden. And Ram alone comes out and goes towards the ashram of Sharamanga Rishi. Now Sita and Lakshman don't ask him why you're making us stay here. And this is the very interesting thing in the Ramayana. There is so much maryada that they don't ask questions. They just follow. Because Ram is saying it, that's it. There must be some reason to it. The difference between Treta Yuga and Kali Yuga is that in Kali Yuga, everything you ask questions. You tell some children, don't do this. First thing they'll ask you, why? So in Kali Yuga, the characteristic is that we kind of question everything. Rebellion is a characteristic of Kali Yuga. Treta Yuga, the characteristic of Treta Yuga is that they follow. And whenever somebody senior or somebody greater is telling, they just follow it, simply. So Lord Ram comes out and starts walking towards the ashram of Sharamanga Rishi. And when Lord comes towards the ashram of Sharamanga Rishi, from the ashram of Sharamanga Rishi comes out Indra. And interestingly, when Ram is entering, Indra is coming out. And both of them, they cross each other. Indra lowers his eyes and walks away. Hari Bol. As long as you can hear me, Shravanam is more important. So Indra, he lowers his eyes and walks out. And Lord Ram, he doesn't say anything to Indra, and Indra doesn't say anything to Lord Ram. And when Lord Ram enters the ashram of Sharamanga Rishi, the sage immediately said, I knew you would come. You have to be Lord Ram, the son of Dasharath, and the master of the universe. Sharamanga Rishi immediately tells Lord Ram this. The interesting thing is, why does Lord Ram not recognize Indra? And why does Indra not recognize Lord Ram? Is it that Indra doesn't know his master? Does it mean that Indra is not recognized? He is the incarnation of Vishnu that has come here? No, that's not the case. The point here is, Lord Ram is in a human avatar. And because he is in a human avatar, he does not prefer to interact with all these, devatas. Because if a demigod has to recognize a human being, that human being must be somebody special, isn't it? Otherwise, why would a demigod like Indra recognize him? And why would Indra offer obeisances to him? Now, if Indra recognized Ram, he would have to immediately pay obeisances to him also, right? That is what etiquette is. Indra does not look at him also. Ram does not look at him also. They both mind their own business and they just walk away from each other. This is the interesting thing about, about the pastimes of the Lord. There is so much synchrony. It is not that Ram is telling Indra, idhar mat dekho, us taraf dekho, Nothing, no communication at all between them. And yet there is so much synchrony. Indra understands what the Lord wants of him. Indra understands how to behave in this particular avatar. And that is precisely why they are demigods. Why they are given those roles, those positions. Because they get it. They know how to assist the Lord in his pastimes. They know how to be a good assistant to the Lord. We all don't get it. So we have to be told again and again. And after being told again and again also, we don't get it. Right? The spiritual master, many devotees always ask this question to, very spiritual masters. What is your personal instruction to me? Do you have any personal instruction? Anything you want to tell me? And all the spiritual masters tell the same thing. We have told you so many personal instructions. At least follow that. Every instruction given to you is personal only. But unfortunately for us, we don't get it. And that's why we are at this level. And Indra is at the level at which he is. Because they get it. Right? So, Lord Ram, when he enters the abode of Sharabanga Rishi, he immediately recognizes. He says, you must be Lord Ram. And he says, something within me told me that you would come. And an inner voice told me that you will come. So here, Sharabanga Rishi was approached by Indra at this point in time. And Indra had offered Sharabanga Rishi to a place in the heavens. So whenever sages perform tapasya, to a great extent, very, very powerful they become, they are offered many things by the universe. And one of the lowest things that the universe can offer them is place in the heavens. Many of the sages don't accept this offer. Like in this case, Sharabanga Rishi was given an offer by Indra himself. Indra personally came down to take him back. That golden chariot that we saw was for Sharabanga Rishi. Indra came in Airavat, the elephant. Indra didn't come in the golden chariot. The golden chariot was for Sharabanga Rishi. And Sharabanga Rishi was personally invited by Indra to the heavens, to reside in the heaven forever. But Sharabanga Rishi said no. And why did he say no? Because something inside him told him, Ram will come. The Paramatma inside him, an inner voice told him, Ram will come. And he didn't want to accept something lower for something higher. So he felt, I think I should just wait. He told Indra, I'm not interested. So, intuition is a very powerful thing that is inside all of us. Many of us have different types of intuitions. But very few of us understand what intuitions we have. What is the voice that we hear from within our heart? There are two types of voices inside us. There's something called as an inner critic. And then there's something called as an inner wizard. The inner critic is something that constantly tells us, or rather of these two voices, the inner critic is a very loud voice. The inner wizard is a very, very silent voice. It almost whispers. The inner critic is very loud. Now imagine you do something good and inside you one voice says, this is not you. You're not good enough. Right? So inside us we have this inner critic which is constantly trying to pull us down. And the voice of the inner critic is very loud and clear. But the voice of the inner wizard is not at all loud. It's in whispers, literally. It just whispers. And unfortunately, we are not intuitive. We don't listen to the inner voices that is going on within us. Someone who is very intuitive, they are in sync with the inner voice. They are in sync with what is going on inside them. And when they are in sync with what is going on inside them, they can get a lot more than what normally you can get. Sharabanga Rishi here, if only he didn't hear that inner voice and he went with Indra, he would have missed such a golden chance, isn't it? He would have missed the most important moment of his life, the most transformational moment of his life, the most powerful moment of his life. So, in all our lives, we will always get a point where he offered something lower and when he offered something higher, right? And what is lower, it actually seems more valuable, interestingly. What is lower actually seems most valuable. But the interesting thing is that what is higher seems to be less valuable in the eyes of this world. But from an eternal point of view, that is most valuable. So if you get a promotion, you think this is God's grace on you. If you get some inheritance suddenly, you think this is God's grace on you. If you get some lottery suddenly, you think this is God's grace on you. But all of these are not actually God's grace. The actual grace of God is when you suddenly one day hear your inner voice. And when you actually hear your Paramatma speak to you. And typically the Paramatma always guides you towards a path which is less acceptable by society, which is less famous, or which is less worshipped by the world. And that path that you choose, which is treaded less by the world, is a very, very precious path. All of you could have chosen to be in this weekend anywhere in the world, isn't it? 25th December, Christmas Eve, New Year coming up. You can choose to be anywhere in the world, isn't it? Especially those who are from Goa. Imagine they left Goa and come to Nasik. People will call you all fools. The whole world wants to go to Goa for this weekend. And here you all have left Goa and come over here to some, strange place, isn't it? This is a path that is less, treaded on. This is a path that very less people have the guts to walk on. But when Sharabanga Rishi said no to Indra, he listened to something that was much stronger from within inside him, the inner voice. And all of you, you've chosen to listen to an inner voice that is inside you, that is guiding you towards a particular direction, that is guiding you towards a particular path. And that path that you're trying to walk on, it's not an easy path. Sharabanga Rishi didn't choose the path that he chose because it was easy. It's a path of uncertainty. Bhakti is not a path of clarity, it's a path of uncertainty. But somewhere down the path, you get clarity at some point. For Sharabanga Rishi, it happened the next moment only. He said no to Indra, and next moment Ram walked in to his life. The moment he said no to Indra, Ram walked into his life. For all of us, when you say no to some path, Ram may not walk into our life the next moment. But he will walk into our life. Because you are making the same choice that Sharabanga Rishi is making. Right? And it's certain that Ram will walk in. So when Sharabanga Rishi surrenders to Lord Ram, he falls at the feet of Lord Ram. And he tells Lord Ram, Indra offered to take me to the heavens in a celestial chariot because I did austerities all life long. And although that offer was very lucrative, he said, I told him, I'm not interested in something temporary. I want a place which is permanent. He said, I'm not interested in going to a temporary place. I'm not going to accept a temporary position. I want to go to a place which is higher than Brahmaloka. Sharamanga Rishi told Indra. And he also told him, I want to be in a place which never gets destroyed, even at the end of creation. And then Sharamanga Rishi did something very beautiful. He told Lord Ram, he said, I, Sharamanga Rishi, proclaim that the only possession that I have with me, the only thing that I have with me is a result of all my austerities. And he says, my dear Lord Ram, I want to offer you all the result of my austerities. I want to surrender them to you. I want to offer them to you. Lord Ram smiled, looking at him. And he said, I'm a Kshatriya. Kshatriyas don't accept charity. You keep yours with you only. I will earn it on my own. Sharamanga Rishi was shocked when Lord Ram said that. Typically, when you hear this, you think Sharamanga Rishi is making such a big sacrifice. All the lifetime of austerities that he has earned, he's offering the merit to Lord Ram. What a surrender it is. But Lord Ram saw pride in that. He saw the word I very prominent. I am offering you. So when you go in front of God and say, I have come to offer you, God says, Baba, I don't want only anything from you. I have more than what you have, also is mine only. Yeah? So Lord Ram, he sensed that pride instantly. He said, I am a Kshatriya. I will earn it on my own. I don't want your merits. I will earn merits on my own, he tells him. And he said, the only request that I have from you is show me where should I stay in the forest. That's all Ram asks, Sharamanga Rishi. So here, the whole idea is that when you give, there is a pride that comes along with the thought that I am giving. So it is explained that when you do dan, the best way to do dan is that first you give the object. And then you give this thought that this object belonged to me and I gave. And then you give up this very thought that I gave. That's when dan is complete. So dan is three steps to dan. First step is you give the object. Let's say, for example, you give some money or you give a property. You've given that object. And then the second step is you give up the thought that I own this, or this property belonged to me, or this money belonged to me. I give up that. And the third thing that I give up is I give up the thought that I give. Then dan is complete. The problem with that with us is that we give and then we keep thinking, I give. And then we go and tell others also, I give. Now suppose you give a car in donation, to the temple. Like, your car is roaming around, for whatever service. You keep telling her, देखो, वो गाड़ी जा रहा है, I give. Somewhere, that attachment that it is still mine is there, right? So you give first, and then you give the idea that this is mine, and then you give the thought that I give. That also you give it up. Then dan is complete. So Sharamanga Rishi here, he's thinking that I'm giving Ram, all the austerities, the result of all my austerities. I am giving it to him. What a big sacrifice I'm making. The only thing in my possession, I'm giving him. Ram says, I don't want it only. And that's when Sharamanga Rishi suddenly realized, oh my God, what am I doing? What have I done? So he's saying, Ram came to me, God came to me, and I am in front of God, I am trying to show I am great. Instead of glorifying Ram, instead of celebrating Ram, instead of worshipping Ram, instead of chanting Ram's name, he is saying, I am giving you. And Ram put him in place. Instantly, he put him in place. And then Sharabanga Rishi completely changed his attitude towards Lord Ram. And at that point in time, Sita and Lakshman joined him. So now, why did Ram go in first alone and not take Sita and Lakshman along with him? For this. Do this little surgery. Sharabanga Rishi was such an exalted sage, right? So Ram did not want to do this in front of Sita and Lakshman. It's embarrassing, isn't it? When you're trying to, teach someone a lesson, or you're trying to kind of put someone in place, it's good to do that in private. It's good to do that, when others are not around. But when you do that, especially when that person is such a senior person, when you do that in front of others, it's a little embarrassing. And therefore, Lord Ram, he, went alone first. And then Sita and Lakshman joined him. And by this time, Sharabanga Rishi had figured out that, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done like this. Let me do some service to Lord Ram now. Sharabanga Rishi spent the entire night with Sita, Ram and Lakshman, telling them stories, giving them whatever knowledge he had, just sharing with them, just sharing. All night long, Ram, Lakshman and Sita were hearing from Sharabanga Rishi. The next day morning, when the sun rose, Sharabanga Rishi speaks to Lord Ram again. And this time in a completely different tone. He tells Lord Ram, these few hours that I spent in your loving company, gazing at your lotus face, they have given me unlimited times more satisfaction than years of austerity that I have performed. And he says, the joy of serving you is much higher than living a life of abstinence. And he says, my dear Lord, thank you for coming into my life. And he says, my gratitude and faith in my spiritual masters has only increased after experiencing you. And he said, my spiritual master had predicted that I'll give up my body in your presence. Sharabanga Rishi remembers his guru's words. And he says, after seeing you and after serving you, my request is, please allow me to give up this body. And then he tells Lord Ram that not far from here is another exalted person, exalted sage named Sutikshna. And he says, I want you to meet Sutikshna, who will help you in your quest. And he says, now please allow me to give up this body, just like a snake casts off its skin for a higher purpose. So he takes blessings of Lord Ram, and Sharabanga Rishi closes his eyes. When he closes his eyes, he creates a yogic fire from within his body. And the yogic fire emanates, burns up his entire body. And the entire body of Sharabanga Rishi, right in front of Ram, Lakshman and Sita, burns. And the most amazing part of this particular type of burning, which is from the yogic fire from within, is that not even ashes remain. Complete combustion. 100% combustion. Imagine, not even ashes remain. It's completely, gives up his body and goes back to the spiritual world right in front of Lord Ram. The word Shara Bhanga, Shara refers to Sharira or the body, and Bhanga means demolish or destroy. And the word Shara Bhanga means the one who completely demolishes his body. Now, what does Sharabanga mean for us? Every body is meant for a particular purpose. And when that purpose is achieved, the tool must be returned. Like say, for example, we have borrowed a car for 5 days. We rented a car for 5 days. After the 5 days are over, our use of that car is done. We must return the car back to the owner. Correct? That's what it is. You're staying in a hotel, in a room. After you're done for 5 days of staying, you return the keys to the hotel, isn't it? Do you take the key with you? I paid for it. Mera hai. Then you use a airplane seat. You pay for the seat, use it. After you get off, do you take the seat with you? I paid for the seat. 2B is mine forever. I will sit on this seat only at my house. No, you just leave it and go ahead, isn't it? The tool is used, then you return it back to whoever it owns it, isn't it? So that's exactly the way this body is. The body is given to us for a particular purpose. And after the purpose is achieved, then we return it back to whoever gave it to us. And then we go ahead in our journey. That's the meaning of the word Sharabhanga. Each one of us have to be like Sharabhanga Rishi. Use this body for the purpose for which this body is made. And perfect our lives. See, this body is given to us is a tool. We are not this body, but we are in this body. You may keep telling, I am not the body, I am the spirit soul. You are the spirit soul, but you still have this physical body. And as long as we have this physical body, we must use it to the best possible way. Use the body in the best possible way. Use your legs to walk to as many holy places as possible. Use your hands to do as much service as possible. Use your eyes to have as much darshan of holy people and holy places as possible and holy deities as possible. Use your ears to hear as much of Hari Katha and Hari Kirtan as possible. Use your tongue to chant as many holy names as possible and taste as much of Krishna Prasad as possible. So when every limb of our body is used for the purpose for which it is made, we can all be called as Sharabhanga. It's technically, you're using this body to destroy this body so that we don't have to get another body again. So Sharabhanga used his body very well, and at the last part of his life, he gave up his body. And then he never got back another body. And that's what the whole cycle of life is. So all of us, in one sense, are to be like Sharabhanga. But somewhere in the middle of this journey, if we become proud that I did it, then Lord Ram will say, forget it. I'll come back again. He will say, forget it, I'll come back again. Sharabhanga luckily got a second chance that time only. If Lord Ram comes to our life and we, instead of glorifying him, we start glorifying ourselves only, Ram will say, I'll come soon. And then when that soon will happen, God knows. Sharabhanga Rishi is teaching us. We may get the chance of using this body to perfect our life, but when the Lord comes, let us not act stupid and exhibit pride, but rather exhibit humility, which attracts the Lord towards us. And then, of course, Sharabhanga Rishi, while leaving, he gave him that little piece of advice of how, Lord Ram should go towards Sutikshna's ashram. And then Sharabhanga Rishi left. So this whole mood of Chitrakoot, as I said, for the mood of Dandakaranya is, all the sages are pushing him towards the hub of the demons, which is Janasthan. So every sage is pushing him southwards, towards Janasthan, which is the hub of the demons. So when Lord Ram, Lakshman and Sita are moving towards Sutikshna's ashram, something very interesting happens. Ram, Lakshman and Sita are walking in the forest. And as they are walking in the forest, the body of Lord Ram is effulgent. And he emits a very interesting and a very beautiful color. Lord Ram, the color of Lord Ram's body is the combination of Markata Mani and molten gold. Markata Mani is a particular type of emerald, which is green in color. So if you powder that emerald and you mix it with molten gold that is melted, the combination of that color, it's called greenish gold, basically. That's the color of Ram. So when Lord Ram was walking through the forest of Dandakaranya, something very interesting was happening. From his body was emanating a very powerful effulgence. And as Lord Ram was walking through the forest, his the effulgence from his body was falling on all the trees in that area. So the entire area was being almost colored by Lord Ram's effulgence. It's like a neon light walking, You see a neon light walking? The color of that particular light comes on all the trees, right? So when Lord Ram was walking, from very far away, a group of sages were watching the scene of Ram walk towards them. These sages were called the sages of Dandakaranya. So none of them had names, literally. Their names are not mentioned. It's only said sages of Dandakaranya. Why are their names not mentioned? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. And it doesn't matter in eternity, from an eternal point of view. They are just living together harmoniously, and their purpose is not to be recognized. Their purpose is to be absorbed. Sometimes, when our name matters, absorption goes away. Isn't it? Sometimes it is best when we're just one among everybody. Isn't it? It's so much easier to absorb. But when we are one or a special one, it becomes more complicated, more difficult to absorb, isn't it? It's just so much easier when we are one among others. So the sages of Dandakaranya, they saw this green light passing and they were fascinated. Some of the sages saw first, and they immediately ran and called everybody, "He is come, he is come." All the sages ran and were waiting over there. Far away, they're seeing this effulgence walk towards them. And all the sages of Dandakaranya, they've been waiting for Lord Ram to come. And when they see this light effulgence coming towards them, all of them, they start talking and glorifying Lord Ram. And they are encouraging one another. So one of them says, he is dharmachari. He is upholder of dharma. Another says, she is yashaswini. She ensures victory. She is one who accompanies dharma. And then one sage says, the ornaments on his body, they become more beautiful when they are put on him. So usually when you wear ornaments, you look more beautiful, right? When you remove the ornaments, you don't look as beautiful. So people wear ornaments to look more beautiful. But when it comes to the Lord, the sages are saying, the ornaments decrease his beauty. And when you put any ornament on the Lord, the ornament gets its beauty from the Lord. So he is the ornament of the ornament, And then one sage says, he is perfection of this word called samahanana. This word samahanana in Sanskrit, what does it mean? Samahanana means somebody whose body is perfectly symmetrical. That is called samahanana. That is the meaning of the word. So typically, who looks beautiful in this world? There's a particular matrix to calculate who looks handsome or beautiful in this world. And the way, this is modern science, the modern calculation of beauty. And one of the ways in which they calculate beauty is symmetry. So if you draw a line across your face like this, and this part of your face and this part of the face you compare, if it is exactly same, that means you are very beautiful. And unfortunately, you try drawing and you compare, both our faces look like two different personalities only. It doesn't look anything same. Very strange faces we all have, no symmetry. That's why we look the way we look. But the sages of Dandakaranya are saying, these are sages, but they have so much knowledge. They understand standards of what modern beauty, science is now figuring out. So they say Ram is Samahanana, which means his body parts are so well arranged and so symmetrical. There is no flaw in the construction of his body. So from so far away, they're making this out for Lord Ram, who's so far away. And then another sage says, he is Lavanya. Look at the luster coming out from his body. He is so much self-luminous that the entire forest seems to be, bathing in his effulgence. And another sage says, he is Saukumarya, which means he is soft like a blooming flower. And then one sage says, look at the way he is dressed. He is Suvesha. Suvesha means he is perfectly dressed. Very neat and tidy in his dressing sense. And the sage says, I can't believe he is dressed like us only. But how does the deer skin and tree bark look so good on him and it doesn't look good on us at all? The same, it's not that he's wearing a different brand. It's not that Ram is wearing branded deer skin, or branded tree bark. He's wearing the same tree bark and deer skin that all sages are also wearing. But when he wears it, it looks so good. We have been wearing the same dress for 500, 700 years, but we have still not figured out how to wear it properly. There are some people who never figure out how to wear dhoti properly, how to wear, kurta properly. They just can't make sense of it. Some people, it doesn't make sense. But Lord Ram, the sages are saying, he is so well attired that this attire that he's wearing, deer skin and tree bark, is meant for sadhus in the forest. But when he is wearing it, it looks so regal. It looks like the attire for kings, they're telling him. They're telling each other. And he says, this sage is saying, look at the interesting definition. He's saying, usually the top and bottom cloth, they're supposed to be matching. So the top cloth and bottom cloth are matching. The cloth, the dressing sense looks good, isn't it? In this case, tree bark and deer skin, they are not even matching. And yet he looks good. For some people, even after matching also, it doesn't look good. And here, he is not even matching. The top what he is wearing and bottom what he is wearing is not even matching, but is still looking so good on him. And that's why they call this as Suvesha. They're saying despite all these defects, the outfit seems beautiful just by the touch of his body. And then one sage says, all that is fine. But I don't know how anyone can live after seeing the right bare shoulder of Lord Ram. He's saying, so the sage, he says like that, and then he says, I think he is that. So now, the other sage is asking, what do you mean by he is that? So the sages, they are not saying clearly that he is God. Because they are not supposed to say that he is God, right? So this is supposed to be a human incarnation, right? So they're just trying to discuss with each other. They're saying, I think he is that. So the sages are so absorbed in trying to discuss about Lord Ram. Look at the quality of the discussion. Look at the quality of the interaction between the sages. Look at what they are discussing. This is sadhu sangha. This is what association is supposed to be. So when we are in the association of devotees, this is the quality of discussion we are supposed to be having. But unfortunately, we are not used to sadhu sangha. So therefore, we end up having gossip. We end up discussing politics. We end up discussing current affairs. We end up discussing reels. We end up discussing, problems. And we end up discussing so many other things Because our discussions are not going to this level. Imagine if we can have discussions at this level. Would we stop discussing? The problem is with us is that our absorption is not at this level, and therefore our discussions are not at this level. And therefore, when the sages are so absorbed in the beauty of Lord Ram that they forgot their problems only, and they focus completely on glorifying Lord Ram. And by that time, Lord Ram reaches their ashram. And when Lord Ram reaches the ashram, the sages suddenly realize that he has come right next to them. They are so absorbed in Ram that they forgot only that he is already reached exactly where they were. So Lord Ram takes out his bow and unstrings his 6 feet tall bow. Lord Ram's bow is called Kodanda, and the length of that bow is 6 feet. Imagine if Lord Ram's bow is 6 feet, how tall Ram is? Ram is 8 feet tall. That's the height of Lord Ram. Yeah. Imagine if Lord Ram comes over here, literally almost touching the ceiling. That's how tall Lord Ram is. Yeah. And when Lord Ram, so when he enters the ashram, he unstrings his bow. Because Kshatriyas, when they enter the presence of sages, they unstring the bow. Because unstringing the bow is a mark of respect. So when you go to a place where you feel safe, you unstring the bow. So in Kshatriya code, when a Kshatriya unstrings the bow, that means he feels safe there. So the moment Lord Ram enters the ashram of the sages of Dandakaranya, he unstrings his bow, which means he feels safe there. And Lord Ram, he enters the ashram, and the sages of Dandakaranya, they take him all around. They show him their little ashram. And as Lord Ram is seeing the ashram of the sages of Dandakaranya, at some point, they show him a huge pile of bones. Lord Ram is shocked and surprised. And he asks the sages of Dandakaranya, what is this? Such a pile of bones in the middle of an ashram, of a holy setting. How come there is so many bones here? The sages of Dandakaranya, they explain to Lord Ram, we have been waiting for you to show you this only. These bones are not ordinary bones. They are the bones of all our sages. All the sages that have been killed by demons. Their bones are collected over here. We wanted you to see how many of our sages have been killed by the demons. And the sages that time, they ask Ram for protection. So Ram immediately at that point, in front of all the sages, he declares, he says, I vow to annihilate the demons from the face of earth. And he says, a devotee will never perish. And soon there will be peace and tranquility here. As soon as Lord Ram says that, all the sages of Dandakaranya, they start shouting. They become so happy. They say, Sajana Rakshana Ram ki jai. Dina Jana Rakshana Ram ki jai. They're just so happy, jumping that Lord Ram has agreed to protect them. And this is a very beautiful episode in the Ramayana. In fact, this episode goes a little further into the Bhagavatam also. Some of the sages, we're describing all the way the sages are attracted to Lord Ram, right? In the beginning. And the way glorifying Lord Ram. Some of the sages actually at that point of time, they say, we wish we had the bodies of women. We would have married you now only. So though we are in the body of man, we're feeling so attracted towards you. And, they say that we wish that we could marry you. And at that point of time, Lord Ram, he tells them, I will fulfill your desire in your next life, when you'll come as a gopis. And this set of sages of Dandakaranya, they take birth in Vrindavan in the next lifetime. And they become a set of gopis known as Munichari gopis. So these are all sages of Dandakaranya who had this little desire of Vatsalya or of Madhurya with Lord Ram. And they get the opportunity for experiencing that in their next life when Lord Ram comes as Krishna. And that's how this whole beautiful pastime of Dandakaranya unfolds. So the sages of Dandakaranya, after meeting Lord Ram, obviously they're very happy that Ram has promised this. And then from there, Ram is moving towards Sutikshna's ashram. So the episode of what happens to Sutikshna and what happens further, we will see tomorrow. The interesting thing over here is that while the sages of Dandakaranya are really happy that Ram has promised them to, annihilate the demons, Mother Sita is very unhappy because she feels, why did my husband take a promise to kill so many demons? So she feels very bad for the demons. Imagine, this is the heart of a mother. That demons, we all will want them to be killed. But Sita is thinking, why is he wanting to kill them? What have they done to him? What harm they have done to him? And then there is going to be a very intense discussion between Ram and Sita at this point in time. And what the discussion is and what the details of the discussion is, we'll see tomorrow. So tomorrow evening, we'll continue the same Ram Katha discussions and we will go further into the Dandakaranya forest along with Ram, Lakshman and Sita. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.